The NFL draft is quickly approaching, and everyone has a take, everyone has an opinion, everyone has a game plan, and we will soon find out who is closest to correct. This video will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the 2025 offseason playlist. Number two being the 2025 NFL draft playlist. In an article titled 2025 NFL Draft, the ideal haul for every team in the first 3 rounds from PFF.com, which is, quite frankly, incomplete because it involves 3 picks. The Kansas City Chiefs have 4 in those first 3 rounds, but we will let that slide for now. We get the following: Kansas City Chiefs, offensive lineman Gray Zabel, wide receiver Jaden Higgins, and inside linebacker Chris Paul Jr. Kansas City might be coming off of a 3rd straight Super Bowl appearance, but this offseason is a daunting one for the Chiefs, particularly to finally solve some long-standing issues along the offensive line, with Trey Smith potentially leaving and Kingsley Suamataia struggling mightily in his first year. Kansas City's utmost priority should be the offensive line. Zabel, a 90.4 overall PFF grade, could slot in at either slot or be a quick impact starter. Either slot being the left tackle or the offensive guard position. I don't think that's true, but we'll get to that in a moment. Beyond that, the Chiefs receiver room is in the midst of great uncertainty, with DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Brown hitting the market. Higgins' fluidity and size would work nicely paired with Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice. And with Nick Bolton also a free agent, Paul, 84.0 plus pass rushing, tackling, and run defense grade would make a ton of sense. First off, we have Gray Zabel here, listed at 6'5", 316 pounds. Those are unofficial. He has not weighed in at the combine yet, so we will see coming shortly. So NFL.com, I think a few years ago, was middling with their draft analysis, their pre-draft analysis, things like that. They have steadily gotten better, in my opinion. And this year, if you're paying attention, they have Armand Membu rated as their number 1 offensive lineman. That is incredible for Mizzou, should that be true. The overview they have of Zabel is this: tough guy profile on this prospect coming out of North Dakota State. North Dakota State is going to raise issues later. Zabel has an NFL frame with room for additional mass and possesses a good starting point in terms of his play strength. He has to play with really quick hands and good feet in order to compensate for short arms, so that's going to be another issue. Short arms that make sustaining blocks and controlling pass rushers more challenging. Teams might ask Zabel to snap during draft season in order to project positional flexibility, which we'll get to also. Among his strengths, the NFL has played 4 of the 5 offensive line positions. It won't shock you what the 5th position is that he has not played, at least as far as I know. Maybe he has, but I didn't see it. Quick pass off twisters and search for incoming traffic. It has here able to unlock hips and ankles and set a sudden anchor. I don't see good hips there. I really don't. Among the weaknesses, needs more stabilizing base width in pass sets, more grab than punch in pass protection, and too much waist bending and leaning to brace. Now, my analysis for this pick: I think Gray Zabel is a top 5 all-name draft. I think he's one of the best names in the draft. It's not going to help him on the football field. I think that he's destined to begin his career at guard and has upside at right tackle, which would add to the collection of right tackles that the Kansas City Chiefs have. When he has been in the league for a few years, I think he can move out to tackle. I do think that he does set a decent anchor. I don't know how much that's going to help him based on his weaknesses. I think that speed rushers will destroy him right now. The North Dakota State criticism that I have is that he was not playing. He wasn't lining up against Big Ten and SEC defensive linemen every week. And I think if he was, he would not have been at the offensive tackle position. And I think he certainly would not have been a left tackle. I think that his pass set is choppy. I don't think that he is fluid in that. I think that he is more offensive lineman than athlete. So sometimes that is passable in the NFL. I don't know if Gray Zabel has the tools to make that passable in the NFL. And I don't think he has the bend to offer any upside at center. He is fairly mobile, but he's not, like I said, he's not an athlete. So I don't know if you can get him in that offensive center position in the NFL on a down-to-down basis. I think that what you're looking at here is a guy that's going to compare to Chiefs tackles of old. I think that you're looking at a guy who offers significantly less athleticism than any of the offensive tackles on the team right now. If he were the pick in the first round, I don't know that it would be a win. I certainly don't know that it would be a win in his rookie season. He's an NFL offensive lineman, I think for sure. I think that he's going to take a year to get there. I don't know that that is where you want to put your resources at 31 overall. So I don't think that would be a win. Jaden Higgins, who also has not done any testing at the combine yet, so these are all projected numbers as well. 6'3", 217 pounds, projected to run a 4.55 40-yard dash. He looks like that could be accurate to me. Great wingspan here, 79 3/8 inches, so long as it is accurate with 33 1/4 inch arms there. The overview that the NFL.com website offers for Jaden Higgins is this: big inside-outside wideout with modest athletic attributes, but outstanding ball skills that make him a projectable NFL prospect. Higgins needs a more limited route tree, but can operate on all three levels in the right scheme. He's smooth but physical in his routes and does a nice job of creating pockets of separation and with force and strength. He does push off a little bit, so that could get called in the NFL. He has mismatch qualities from the slot with body control and a catch radius that make him a menace on jump balls downfield. He won't outrun cornerbacks and is nothing special after the catch, but his size, ball skills, and competitiveness create a profile of production as a future contributor in three wideout sets. Does that sound like an Andy Reid wide receiver to you? The strengths that they offer: big-bodied wideout with a wingspan over 6'7", purposeful, drive, phase, disguises, comebacks, and stops, runs routes with smooth strides and good balance. I do think that is particularly true for Higgins. Effective use of size to physically separate at breaks. I don't know if I saw that. Big-time talent to track and position himself on deep balls and fades. That's a big deal in his game. Competes for catch space using focus and hand strength to win. One second here. Hands are natural, soft, and sudden. These are all good things if they are all true once he gets to the NFL. Weaknesses: unable to sink hips for sudden stops and sharp cuts in his routes. That's going to be a problem in an Andy Reid offense. Will need to operate with a limited route tree. No second gear to prevent corners from closing distance. Finds himself in a high number of contested catches. Below average run after the catch talent in smaller spaces. In smaller spaces, I think, is the key here. I think that overall, he's no nonsense with the ball in his hands. He makes the catch and gets upfield. That is a positive. Sometimes we see guys that dance a little too much after they have the ball in their hands. He can catch in traffic. He does have plus concentration, and he is a hands catcher. These things are all positives for the NFL. I think that the Chiefs could use him the way that they have tended to use veteran wide receivers in their offense. First down. So he's a big target who would manufacture first downs, and that would be a plus for this offense, especially when we see them get into ruts sometimes, when they will refuse to run the ball to get ahead of the chains, when Patrick Mahomes gets on his high horse and tries to make too many plays. But having that guy there that will be a big target at the first down marker is a positive and would do well for the Kansas City Chiefs. He would ease the loss of a guy like Nuke Hopkins. He's not Nuke Hopkins. He might be Nuke Hopkins in his final season, right? So he's not going to offer the upside that Nuke Hopkins every once in a while could once again be Nuke Hopkins, but he is, I think, more of a consistent contributor, could be more of a consistent contributor at this point in his career than we saw Nuke Hopkins be last year. The 40 will be very telling for Higgins. He's not a speedster, but can he run a 4.55, a 4.54, somewhere in there? That would be huge for his draftability. He will be able to stand in for Rashee Rice until Rashee Rice gets back from injury / suspension, whatever it is that happens with Rice this season. So you could, I think we will ultimately end up seeing the Chiefs offense struggle a little bit with their current constitution in the absence of Rashee Rice early in the year, much like we saw them struggle the past couple of seasons. I think Higgins is a guy who can keep them on the field with first downs, and that could be enough. He has the potential, like the NFL.com said there, he has the potential to be a matchup nightmare. I don't think he's going to be a matchup nightmare for corners who are the 6'1", 4'2" guys. I don't think he's going to be a matchup nightmare there. But for a lot of these smaller corners, he could be a matchup nightmare for corners that don't track the ball well downfield, things like that. And finally, the final pick that they had there was Chris Paul Jr. 4.6 340-yard dash is official. He does have a 36-inch vert, and he has a good 10-yard split at 1.62. That is what you need coming downfield as a linebacker. So the NFL.com website offers this as an overview. Weak side linebacker, not a middle, with ascending talent and production for a 4-3 defense. He is getting better, so that is a good sign. Paul is an assignment-oriented linebacker whose play recognition, improved as the season progressed. He takes quality angles, so that's also a good sign that he's taking coaching. He takes quality angles to the action and is a sure-handed tackler when he gets his hooks in. He appears quicker than fast, which is not necessarily the worst thing in the world for a linebacker, and is better at dropping on or blitzing on passing downs than he is at matching up with backs and pass-catching tight ends. Paul colors inside the lines and does his job to play inside the scheme. He could be another step forward if he can play with more of a see, play, make play mentality downhill. They offer as his strengths patient to diagnose run counters and settle into his run fit, shoots hands into blockers with good timing, good balance, which you definitely see on film, rarely gets caught in traffic with no course of action. He is a forward downhill kind of guy, reads dual gap choices and usually matches runner's decision. That's an instinctual thing. Willing to do the dirty work in context of the scheme. That is a Nick Bolton specialty. Twitchy lateral burst to tackle cutting runners and determined and slippery in the gaps as a blitzer. Weaknesses: lacks ideal size and length for the position, gets bumped and slowed by climbing blockers, below average knee bend and contact balance. I don't know that I saw he had negative contact balance. Will hang back when downhill plays are there to be made, and average speed pursuit and man coverage. He does have good speed, so that is going to be something that if he's able to better diagnose plays, he will be better in that facet. He is good in traffic. He's not going to blow up a whole lot of blockers, but he is effective at making sure that he is available to make the play. He is a plus tackler. If he, like the article says here, if he does get his hands on a guy, normally he goes down. I haven't seen him really blow plays up, but you don't have to in the NFL. Make the play. Do your job. Potential to be a plus blitzer. He is a he's hit or miss. I put good tackler in there twice. I apologize. He is hit or miss in coverage. I think that sometimes he gets lost. So overall, for the Chiefs here, pardon me, I think that Leo Chanel is the Nick Bolton replacement. That said, should Paul find himself on the inside for the Chiefs, he offers more coverage ability than Bolton. His 40 is 0.3 of a second slower than Nick Bolton, but his 10-yard split is 9/100ths of a second faster. So he's much faster off the blocks. He's much faster initially than Nick Bolton. He would be capable of stepping in and being the third linebacker for the Chiefs. So overall, in this first 3 picks here for the Chiefs, I don't think they would have gotten any starters. I think they would have gotten 3 contributors, but the Kansas City Chiefs are in the position where they will need starters on the field. Now, I say that with Chris Paul here, that he could be the third linebacker. The Chiefs are going to probably end up with 2 linebackers on the field more often than not. So that puts him on the sideline. Jaden Higgins, I think, would start the season probably as the X receiver for the Chiefs at this point with who they have on the roster. But once Rashee Rice comes back, I don't think he is there. So I think that this would be a decent group of picks for the Chiefs. I think that the 31st overall pick being Gray Zabel would be a bit of a whiff initially. But overall, I would be disappointed if this were the first 3 picks for the Chiefs. But I do think that these are guys who will likely play out their entire rookie contracts. I don't think any of these guys get cut or anything like that. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out. It tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.